We're playing Pokemon Go.
I'm having a glitch. Are you in it?
No, I'm in it.
I'm battling it.
Am I there?
I just,
I can see
it's
the
gone.
Magnus one. Oh, we beat it.
We have found autumn in Hyde Park. Is it a squash? Is it a pumpkin? Could it be a teapot? The other side?
I told you it says pumpkin.
Oh look, a pumpkin.
Try to
Wow. If you want to see the pumpkin, it's only available till November this year.
3rd of November.
The 3rd of November, so come see the pumpkin.
Explosive.
Never seen before. This is the kind of content we bring you here. Keep going.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there. Cat steak, come back a bit.
Thumbnail. Can't really fucking see.
We are going to Daunt Books because none of these guys. Wait, Kath, have you been?
No.
None of these guys have been before.
Never been.
Never been. Never. Before we continue on with the video, I would like to tell you about today's sponsor, Oodie. I love my Oodie so much. I pretty much live in this thing as soon as the temperature drops outside. It is so warm and cozy, it is soft and fluffy, it is cruelty-free, machine washable, it has a hood. I love it, it's so good. I swear my Oodie is the reason I didn't need to turn my heating on for so long last winter. Pretty much the only reason I did in the end was because of my plants. I wore this so much. It was so cold, but I wore this and I didn't feel cold when I was wearing this. It genuinely just keeps you so warm and so cozy. It also has a pocket that fits. What's that in it, I hear you ask? A book. It actually fits multiple books. It's a huge pocket, it's great. I love Oodie. I can't praise them enough. If you would like to get yourself a 15% off code, you can use BooksNest15 and there is a link to shop Oodie down below. Thank you so much Oodie for sponsoring this video. It's a Saturday in August and this is what it looks like outside right now. And I get to go photograph a wedding in this. It's so gloomy. It's just so nice out. So nice. I swear half of the weddings I've worked, literally split down the middle, have been raining and half of them have been sunny. I think this is probably up there with the worst level of rain. This is like torrential, unceasing, very grey skies kind of rain. Okay. It's like a 2.5 hour drive to the venue, so there's time for the rain to ease off. Figure I should probably tell you about the books that I'm currently reading, one of which is How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. This is a really good time. It's very entertaining. I bought this one in this vlog actually and just thought it sounded like a really good time and I wanted to pick it up immediately, which is what I have done. This is following our main character who is on this quest to... I don't really know what she's trying to do, to be honest. She basically keeps dying in her path of trying to overcome the Dark Lord, and every time she dies she gets put back to the start of her journey, and she decides at the point we're following her that she's actually just going to try and become the Dark Lord instead of trying to fight the Dark Lord and see what that does for her. But with the twist that every time she dies she gets put back at the start again. Really enjoying it, very funny, really like the characters, feeling very attached to them and well aware that she's probably going to die several more times and we're going to have to like reform those relationships, but actually it's not that frustrating in the Groundhog Day sense of the plot. I normally avoid things like this because it does annoy me when you get the same thing relived again and again and again. One, I find the repetition really boring. Two, I find it frustrating that as a reader we develop these emotions linked to these characters and we kind of, we get to know them and then they no longer know the main character anymore and she has to re-establish these relationships, and I find that frustrating. However, the way this does it is it kind of whizzes through everything, so it brings you back up to speed to the last point that they died, which I think is really good because you know she's going to take the same path and just make slightly different choices to alter the future of it, but it does it in a really engaging way. So I'm really enjoying this. Very, very funny. Also reading A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Harrow for our book club pick for the Tiny Book Club. This is the first month I am running this book club. It is a tiny book club for books that are around or under 200 pages, and this is our first pick. This one is, I think, a Sleeping Beauty retelling, or like maybe more of a observational kind of critical piece about Sleeping Beauty in a fiction form, because it's already been really self-aware and talking about the story of Sleeping Beauty and how like unfeminist that story is. But we're following our main character who has an illness that means she can't live past her 21st birthday. So her friend wants to make her 20th birthday extra special, or her friend wants to make her 21st birthday extra special, and they have a Sleeping Beauty themed birthday party, and she pricks her finger on the spinning thingy, what's it called? The spinning wheel. She pricks her finger on the spinning wheel and it puts her into a sleep in which she finds somebody who's also in this like Sleeping Beauty like state, who's in a really bad situation as well. It's very short. I'm excited to see where it's going. I like the writing style already. I've read a couple of Alex E. Harrow's and none of them have blown me away, unfortunately, but this one so far, it's going well. Not really sure what my plans are for the day other than sitting and reading. I think I'm going to do some Patreon sprints later, so I should be able to finish A Spindle Splintered because it is the August book pick. And there's only, what day is it, 28th? There's only a few days left of August, so I need to get on that. But these are my books. Sorry, but what kind of an animal is that meant to be? If that's a dog, where is its head? It looks like it's like a duck dog thing. I don't know what that's meant to be, but I am enjoying the illustrations in this book. Okay, when I said I like the illustrations, not this one. That is immensely creepy. I finished A Spindle Splintered. Did I get the name right? I got the name right. If you've watched the 24-hour reading vlog that I did previous to this, I was meant to be reading this book in that vlog, and I just couldn't get the name of the book right. Could not stick in my head. That's not why I didn't read it in that vlog. But anyway, it was a speedy read. I just read it in 1 and a bit sprints with my patrons, currently live with them at the moment, but it does mean I need to pick another book. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was definitely a lot sadder than I expected, and I liked it a bit more than I expected as well, I think. With shorter books, I tend to find that I either really love them and I love the intensity of them, or I find them too short to really get into, and at times there were parts of this where I felt I wasn't really able to get into it properly, but I think the main character had really good heart behind her, and I enjoyed that we got to see different versions of the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale and kind of pull that fairy tale apart a little bit and think about it in a different way. So I liked what it gave, and I feel like it was a good length for the story that it was. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now to pick another read. Once again, I find myself stood in front of my bookshelves trying to decide what to read. I haven't done a fictionary TBR for September because I'm going to be travelling quite a bit in the middle of September, and I probably won't do one for October again for the same reasons, and I just felt like it just wasn't really going to happen, so I have absolutely nothing to guide me with this. So I'm very wary I have not finished this series yet, and I'm kind of surprised I hadn't because I was looking forward to the release of this, but I think I've left it so long that I can't really remember what happened at the end of the second book. So that means there's maybe a potential option. I keep coming back to the Fragile Threads of Power. I talked about this again in the 24-hour reading vlog that I did. My hesitation with this is I can't really remember much from the original Dark Shade of Magic series, and I don't know whether I would need to or not. I feel like I would need to, so I don't know if I need to reread this series to then dive into this one. If anyone has any thoughts on that, spoiler-free thoughts, please let me know. On the other end of things, I've got a couple of fun contemporary magic-esque books, which I know would be fun reads. I've got cozy books about books. I don't know what I fancy. I feel like I fancy a fantasy, but maybe also just something that is just a fun contemporary style. I don't know. I did actually just get this through in the post whilst I was sprinting. This is Death at the Sign of the Rook by Kate Atkinson. This is in a series that I haven't read the other books of, but I kind of thought that it was the type of thing where I could jump in because it's mainly just following the character as opposed to having to have a continuous plot throughout the whole series. I get the impression it's kind of like, you know, Poirot in the sense that you could dip in and out. However, I have since bought the first one of this like Jackson Brodie series, so I feel like now I should read that one before I read this, and I don't think that's what I want to pick up at the moment, but But Mel, this book came in the mail, hey! I just read the prologue for Apples Never Fall by Leah Moriarty, and I think this is what I'm going to go for. I know very little about this, other than the fact that it's a domestic thriller, and the tagline on the front says some families are no strangers to secrets. I am still reading How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, but I've decided to switch that one to an audiobook, so that's my audiobook, and then this is going to be my physical read. Made myself a totally healthy charcuterie board and I'm very excited. I've also got my rewatch of Once Upon a Time to continue, which I'm also very excited about. I finished How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, and now I need the next one in the series. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really love the humour. I absolutely loved the characters and getting to know them, spending time with them. I really liked the idea of this kind of lack of consequences life that our character was living, and the way that that meant she could explore anything on that journey, because she thought if she was just going to die anyway, everything would reset itself. But I think mostly what I enjoy about this is the balance of the humour with this kind of big fantasy story. I really enjoy books that have a comedic dialogue style and everything's kind of a little bit sarcastic and tongue-in-cheek, and I think it's something that Akatar does quite well as well, and generally a lot of the characters in Sarah J Maas's writing do kind of come with this like side dialogue of sarcastic comedy, and I just think I really like that format in fantasy, because it's often something that can get quite bogged down with a political side of things, or with a complicated magic system, or just generally with this heavy world building, and I think when you add the humour in there, it's really good. This definitely isn't too heavy in any way at all. It's not really like heavy on the world building or the politics of it. It's more about the journey that this character's going on and the ridiculous situation they find themselves in. But I had a good time, and I think I am going to miss reading this one. It just felt like a really nice, comforting reading experience. Just thought something else I liked. I love the fact that this is following our main character Davi on the path to becoming a Dark Lord, but she almost like doesn't entirely want to be the Dark Lord in some aspects. Like, she doesn't want to kill everybody. She hates seeing that she is having to kill people that she's known in previous like iterations of her life, and I think that adds to the comedy, but it also just builds her as a really interesting character in this, again, very strange situation. We went to Castle Combe today. It was very hilly. It was nice, small and busy, and there was a pretty bridge, and that's all I have to say on the matter. Pull the lever! What do I do now? Oh, wrong lever! Okay, I think I need to give you some reading updates, because I have been reading Apples Never Fall. It's interesting as a concept. I can't even remember if I told you what it's about, but the kind of main premise is that the mum in the story has gone missing, and we're seeing the past merge with the present day of her being missing, and I am enjoying it and I am intrigued. However, it's also using so many words to say what it's trying to say, to the point where it's beyond just being descriptive. It just feels like it's unnecessary, and it feels like it's making the plot really stretched out in a way that I'm finding quite boring at the moment. So I don't know that I'm loving this. I don't know that I'm loving it. I might switch this to an audiobook, I think, and then what I might do instead is pick up this. This is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. The top part of it says, a true successor to the Hunger Games, which I mean, I loved The Hunger Games when I read those back when they were coming out, but I bought this recently for my sister, who is just getting into the age and stage where she wants to pick what she's reading and is kind of like developing her reading taste, and she loves The Hunger Games and she loves things that are like villain centric. So I bought her this because the whole premise of this is about people like having the choice over death, from what I know, and she absolutely loved it, devoured it in like 2 days, and is now reading the sequel, and I would like to be able to talk to her about it. So I'm thinking maybe this. I don't really know the plot. What if death was the only thing left to control? In a perfect world, the only way to die is to be gleaned by a professional scythe. When Citra and Rowan are chosen to be the apprentice scythes, they know they have no option but to learn the art of killing. However, the terrifying responsibility of choosing their victims is just the start. Corruption is the order of the day, and Citra and Rowan need to stick together to fight it. Then they are told that one of them will have to glean the other. Okay, that does sound quite cool. It's been a long time since I've read a dystopian series and just been like, yes, I need to read all of this immediately. And I would like that feeling. So I think I'm going to give this a go as a physical read and just switch this one to an audiobook. But at the moment, we are baking a cake. So I basically have like 20 minutes until cake baking is moving on to the next stage. So I think I'm going to try and start this. Okay, I feel like I'd make a really bad scythe because they get to pick the colour of their cloaks. And I feel like I'd just be stuck in create a sim mode for ages, because whilst I feel like I'd go for like a foresty green colour, a happy sunshiny yellow wouldn't go amiss. But you know, what they're doing sounds like a really dark and sad job, but they say that it's luminous and enlightened, and they're acknowledged as the very best of humanity. So I'm really intrigued to see how this plays out and like what kind of role these people play in this society. Very nice, very mindful.
That. What do you mean?
Okay, sorry, one of those is meant to be pink, is it?
Yeah. Weird, eh?
Which one's pink?
I actually don't know. This is ridiculously difficult. Imagine if we were on Bake Off.
Is this a Mary Berry recipe?
Yeah,
it's not a very merry one, is it?
It is. I've never made a Mary Berry that's been so difficult. Right.
I don't know how.
Oh, it's ripped. Oh, it's shit, isn't it? Oh my god. We'll just tuck it up. Just a minute, we'll trim it. Taste that nice. Proud, doesn't it? Look at this. God, it's so bad. You can't. It doesn't even look like a Battenberg. Look at it. That was the worst cake I ever made. Here we are. Let's do this, shall we? This is what it says in it, Mary. To really finish it off. Oh, that's so good. Crimp the edges. What edges? Does she mean like this? Ah, yes, that's it. That's better. Now we've done it. Honestly, that's like when you watch Celebrity Bake Off and somebody that's never baked before makes something, isn't it? And they go, oh, I've never cooked before. And you look and you go, yeah, we can fucking see that.
This is the expectations from the Battenberg. This is the reality. We usually make better cakes than this, but this one destroyed us. We did put pink food colouring in. Yeah. Really good attempt. Really, really good. I'm feeling really fed up at the moment, and I'm not really sure why. I think everything feels very routine right now. Why are there so many flies around? Everything feels very routine and very samey. I work from home for a majority of my jobs, and I think that can really fall into that pattern of feeling really familiar and routine. And for me, I don't love that, which isn't ideal given that is most of my day to day. And I'm not really sure what I can do about that, but I think it's just making me feel a little bit bleh. Thankfully, I do have quite a few things coming up. I've got quite a few trips in the next month to 2 months I'm really excited about. I don't know, I'm just feeling a little bit meh, which, you know, it'll pass, but I just would like the routine to be shaken up a little bit. I think that would help. Anyway, reading Scythe, really enjoying it. I'm about halfway through. These kind of books, same with the Hunger Games, is all kind of centered around this morbid fascination with the dystopia world in which they're set, and it's like you can't look away, but you're also like, oh my god, this is such a bad situation that they're in. And it's just fascinating, the idea that natural death has been eradicated and there are people that are there to kind of population control and glean people, and it's just so interesting the way it's done, because they try and glean them based off of like the statistics from when natural deaths were still a thing, as to like, you know, X amount of people would have died in car accidents, so they will try and pick X amount of people that drive cars, and it's just really interestingly done, and the morality behind it is really interesting, and you can see that in different characters and how those different characters respond to this job that they have as scythes, and how these two apprentices are kind of entering into it as teenagers, and what their moral compass really is telling them with it, because it's something that is very much accepted within society, but it's not, that doesn't mean that people don't fear it still. It's really interesting. I feel like I just want to binge read this series a little bit. I'm having a good time with it. I booked myself a manicure and pedicure today because, one, my nails are really grown out. Yeah, they really need doing. But two, I just thought it would be nice to get myself out and do a little treat. So I've come to read in the park before I go, and then probably grab some lunch as well, and then I'm seeing a friend later. So that is me attempting to do a day of like mixing up the routine a little bit. So hopefully that helps. That used to be a really nice place to sit, but it's just filled with flies and cigarette butts, and it feels pretty gross. So I'm gonna walk into town, grab some lunch, and then I think I'm gonna go sit by the canal, which is one of my favourite spots to sit anyway. But I thought I'd try something different today, and yeah. I have finished Scythe. I feel like I have been filming this video since the beginning of time. This was not meant to be this long of a video, but I like to end my videos when I finish my book, so it feels complete. And it just, yeah, this has been like 3 weeks. Not reading this. This has taken me a week, but this whole video, I did not pick up the audiobook in the end for Apples Never Fall. I just wasn't really vibing it. I wasn't feeling excited about it, so maybe I'll do that at some point. But this I was feeling very excited about. I've given this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Very addictive, very compelling. I can totally see why this has got all the hype. The dystopian world and the idea of like natural death being eradicated is already so interesting, with so many different questions, and then you add on top of that a system that isn't really quite right, even though they think it is right, and the idea of like this AI thing controlling the whole rest of the world. Really, really addictive. And I'm actually jumping straight into book number 2, Thunderhead. I borrowed this one from my sister, so I'm going to return this. Reading on my Kindle for Thunderhead. I am travelling a lot over the next few weeks, so I needed a good Kindle read, and I think continuing on with the series is just going to be perfect because it's already in my brain. I don't really feel like I need to re-establish myself with who characters are and things, so it's a good travel read, but also I barely ever continue on with the series as soon as I've read the first book, so this is a good moment, and I am excited. I absolutely love this. Thank you so much for following along on this journey with me in this vlog. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a little bit of a long one, but hopefully it was good. I will see you in the next one.